Shadiri here. What's good, family? Let's talk about it, because this right here is wild. Listen, there is nothing more dangerous than a woman competing with a wife she swears she is not thinking about. If you're locked in for a serious fight, your focus is supposed to be sharp, tunnel vision, no distractions. You're not supposed to be studying somebody's jewelry, outfits, or vibe. So, why 1 week before a major bout are we seeing a whole tea remix of something the wife already stepped out in first? That's not random. That's calculated. This is not inspiration. And it's definitely not a coincidence. This looks like identity drift. Like somebody's slowly sliding into another woman's lane and pretending it's natural. And we're going to break down this entire mess piece by piece. And hit that subscribe button. Click those notification bells so you know every time I go live or drop another upload, because now we are in relationship territory. And yes, we have to unpack this mess the right way. Shader's not just a gossip corner over here. We don't just talk to talk. We analyze. We break it down. We connect the dots. Gossip is entertainment, sure, but understanding is power. And every scandal carries a lesson if you know how to look at it. So, let's really get into it. I met somebody in 2024 who you said you ain't even been with. I got a video he sent me back in 200, was it 20 or something? We've been together over 1.5 years now. It'll be 2 years next year in September. Wow. When I met him in July, and then after that, when you get to know a person, I knew because we met on July 6th as a core fight. Okay, which is crazy. Now I know everybody, and their cousin has reacted to this story already. The internet has been buzzing nonstop, but we bring something different over here. We slow it down. We zoom in, and we catch details that other people glide right past. There are layers to this and some key pieces that are being ignored. So, let's line it up and talk about it properly. And let me be very clear. This is not bullying. This is not harassment. And this is not hate. This side of the fence is about accountability, observation, and smart commentary. We can critique behavior without tearing a person down. And that's exactly what we're doing here. Now, I do think some people are crossing lines, but that's on them. That's their business and their problem. I'm not here for that. Once again, Claressa handed the trolls something to snack on, and the internet ran with it. But for me, this isn't about dragging anybody. This is behavioral data. This is a psychological case study playing out in real time, and I'm watching it closely. These are gifts for my man. Okay, this is what I gifted myself. Little bracelet myself. I love having stuff that I ain't seen anybody wear before. The internet was not shocked when she responded to Remy's camp, even though they never formally addressed her directly. That's the part that made people raise an eyebrow. No official call-out, no direct statement, yet here comes the reaction anyway. That tells a story all by itself. If you're not caught up, let me lay out exactly what happened and what the response was, just so we're all on the same page. I'm going to walk you through it step by step so there's no confusion. But understand this is not your average I'm just spilling the tea and reporting on Claressa type of channel. Honey, we break the psychology down over here. We study patterns, motives, and moves like it's game film. And just like that, the girls had to clock it. Baby, what makes this clock hit even harder is the date stamp on it. This is not new. This is not fresh. This is documented. Way back in the summer, Remy was already rocking Van Cleef and all of that. She's been in that lane. So, when the same style pops up later, people are going to connect the dots. That's not hate, that's timeline math. This looked like another attempt at destiny swapping, and it just did not land. It felt recycled, outdated, and honestly forced. And let's be real, Remy wears it better. The fit, the confidence, the energy, it looks natural on her. That's what makes the comparison sting. Now, remember when Remy went to the Super Bowl dressed in a custom outfit, glowing and confident? Her bestie Juga shouted from the crowd, "Yo, this is custom. You can't copy that." And Remy agreed. That moment said a lot without saying too much. Then here comes Claressa, jumping online and in doing so, confirming exactly what people were already whispering and noticing. Sometimes the reaction tells the whole story, and once it's out there, it's hard to shake. Let me say something. I cannot be copied. What I do is original. The number one. Copy this. Copy this. Just stand straight and kid your ass make a piece. Talk to me. What are we talking about? So, unfortunately, she did not make the picture. And that alone had people talking. But here's the deeper layer. She moves like someone who truly believes we do not see the pattern. It's like she thinks if she says it confidently enough, the narrative will magically replace the receipts. Words over actions every time. And that disconnect is what people are reacting to. Now, here's the part that really made folks laugh, because what makes it even more ironic is her saying she doesn't like having things that someone else has or had. Baby, that statement does not age well when the timeline is sitting right there for everyone to scroll through. The internet keeps receipts. These are gifts for my man. Okay, this is what I gifted myself. Little bracelet myself. I love having stuff that I ain't seen anybody wear before. These are gifts for my man. Okay, this is what I gifted myself. Little bracelet myself. I love having stuff that I ain't seen anybody wear before. You are literally with someone else's man. And that's where the comparison Olympics really kicks off. So come with me and let's rewind back to Valentine's Day because this is where the pattern gets loud. This is where the side-by-side energy becomes impossible to ignore. We already know documenting everything is part of her routine. Her engagement had to be filmed because the surprise was not enough on its own. And when I say engagement, I'm talking about the first fiancé, Tony Rich. That moment had to be captured, packaged, and posted so the internet could witness it. It was not just about love. It was about visibility. It was about making sure everybody knew it was official. So boom, Valentine's Day rolls around, and suddenly it's another full production. Cameras up, angles ready, almost like a small crew on standby. Under normal circumstances, love does not need that much staging. Real connection moves quietly. But you know what does need documentation? Competition. When you are trying to prove a point, every moment becomes content. And let's not forget Christmas. We all saw where he was. He was with his wife and his family. And that visual spoke volumes. Then came the aftermath, the meltdown, the overcompensating, even buying her own gifts just to create a moment. That behavior did not happen in isolation. So honestly, none of this should shock anybody paying attention. The timeline tells the story loud and clear. So, the Valentine's Day shenanigans felt less like romance and more like a rebuttal to what everybody already knows. That helicopter sign was dramatic. Yes, it was big, flashy, impossible to miss, but it did not feel intimate. It felt staged, like somebody was trying to run the score up in public. It felt less like love and more like a scoreboard in the sky. There's a real psychological pattern here. When someone feels like they are not in the primary position, they start competing for visibility instead of resting in security. And that changes everything. Suddenly, the gestures have to be bigger, the affection louder, the cameras rolling at all times. Because when love feels solid and safe, it does not need an audience clapping in the background. That's why this keeps looking like a comparison Olympics. Not because she lacks beauty, talent, or presence. It feels that way because she appears to be trying to outshine a story that is already cemented in the public mind. And when a narrative is already locked in, shiny new moments start to look like attempts to compete instead of something natural. What makes this hard to watch is that she has more than enough accomplishments to build her own powerful storyline. She has titles, recognition, discipline, and drive that could stand on their own without being tied to anyone else's past. But when insecurity creeps into a relationship dynamic, even powerful women can start moving like they're fighting for position instead of peace. And that shift is what people are really reacting to. That's exactly why you do not compete for a man's love and affection like that. It never ends well. And here's the part people are missing. Not us, but them. She is not just competing with a woman. She's competing with a whole brand. And that changes the game completely. Let me break it down. Remy and Papu spilt years of black love branding. We're talking documentaries, podcast interviews, major magazine spreads, red carpets, reality TV moments, and a deep social media archive. There are thousands of visual receipts of their relationship. That kind of history is layered, polished, and publicly celebrated. So, when you step into a situation like that, especially as the other woman in a complicated dynamic, you are not just dating a man. You are stepping into an established emotional archive that the public is already connected to. And when that archive has been marketed and embraced as aspirational black love, you are not just competing for affection. You are competing with nostalgia, legacy, and a storyline people are already invested in. That's why Valentine's Day with a full production setup does not feel random. It feels strategic. It feels like an attempt to create new footage, a fresh narrative, and a new memory strong enough to rival the old ones. When you're up against years of documented history, every new moment starts to look like a campaign move instead of a private celebration. But here's the real issue. You cannot outproduce a decade of organic branding with a few dramatic gestures. That's not how legacy works. Established love stories are not built overnight. They are layered over time. Real time, shared history, shared struggle, shared wins. That kind of foundation cannot be recreated with a helicopter in a highlight reel. That's why this keeps feeling like the comparison Olympics, not because she lacks beauty, talent, or presence. It feels that way because she appears to be trying to outshine a story that is already cemented in the public mind. And when a narrative is already locked in, shiny new moments start to look like attempts to compete instead of something natural. What makes this hard to watch is that she has more than enough accomplishments to build her own powerful storyline. She has titles, recognition, discipline, and drive that could stand on their own without being tied to anyone else's past. But instead of creating something brand new, it looks like she's trying to overwrite something that has already been established. And since there has been no finalized divorce, that history still carries weight. 32-33, that's a waste. And then we go around the butt. I'm a start from the middle. Yeah, that ass is fat, girl. Yeah, I say 44. So I know I lost a couple of inches. So let me go to the big part of the butt. Let me go down here. See, that's the part that goes the widest. Let's try that. Girl, boo. It ain't going to change. It did cause it's a different part of the butt. Yeah, so around my actual ass is a 45. So it's like a 32, 33 up here, and then a 44, 45, 44, then it gets bigger with the 45. So yeah, that's my measurements. You can compete with a person, sure, but competing with history is a different fight altogether. And this is where it shifts. It stops being about Valentine's Day, boots, coats, or jewelry. It becomes about a pattern of comparison, overcorrection, and trying to outshine an established narrative instead of pouring that energy into building your own brand from the ground up, and the relationship, P2, oh, for that matter. Because who is really going to look at that stage setup, the fur, the boots, the jeans, the tank, and not see Remy in the equation? Let's be honest. The visual comparison pops up instantly. It feels obvious, and that's why people keep connecting it. When the styling mirrors a known look, the internet is going to notice every single time. And the wild part is she keeps handing bloggers easy talking points without anybody even having to reach. I'm not dragging. I'm observing. When the imagery lines up like that, commentary is going to follow. That's just how the media works. Now, let me tread lightly here. This is not about body shaming, and that's not the lane. But when someone keeps presenting themselves in a way that screams, compare me, the audience is naturally going to assess what's being presented. That's human nature. When you spotlight something over and over, people are going to look at it closely. The bigger issue is the energy behind it. It feels forced, and I try to scroll past it. I really do. But when the pattern keeps repeating, it becomes hard to ignore. Every attempt to prove superiority ends up highlighting insecurity instead. The louder the display, the clearer the doubt appears. When confidence is solid, it does not need constant proof. But when it's shaky, the volume goes all the way up. And that's what people are picking up on. When you have to keep announcing that you have the better body, that you're the prize, that you're the upgrade. Baby, you are not winning. You are campaigning. And campaigning is loud, repetitive, and exhausting to watch. Real confidence does not need a press conference every week. It just is. I've said this from the very beginning. Unchecked insecurity will sabotage talent every single time. And that is the part that concerns me. Claressa is gifted, disciplined, accomplished, and undeniably skilled. Nobody can take that from her. Her resume in the ring speaks loud all by itself. But if this comparison Olympics continues, it would not be punches in the ring that threaten her reputation. It would be public perception. And perception shapes opportunities. Brands do not collapse overnight. They erode slowly through repeated moments that make the audience raise an eyebrow. When optics start to feel uncomfortable, people start to shift how they view you. And internet does not forget. Once the narrative begins to move from undisputed champion to emotionally competing in public, that storyline can stick. And shaking a sticky narrative is way harder than winning a title fight. That's the real risk nobody wants to say out loud. When a narrative starts drifting into words like unstable, unhinged, or just plain weird, it becomes very hard to shift it back to polished and powerful. Once that kind of label starts circulating online, it sticks. And rebuilding a public image takes 10 times more energy than protecting it in the first place. That's what makes this so unfortunate to witness. She does not need to compete. She does not need to mirror anyone. She does not need to try to outproduce a decade of carefully curated Black love branding. None of that is necessary for her to win in life. Her talent is real. Her discipline is proven. Her accomplishments are stamped in history already. That should be the focus every single time. But when you keep trying to win a war against history, you risk losing something much bigger. You risk losing control of your own narrative. You risk letting public perception slowly shift in a direction that does not match your greatness. And once that shift locks in, it is not easy to reverse. The internet watches, the internet remembers, and internet builds stories fast. This stopped being about outfits, holidays, jewelry, or dramatic gestures a long time ago. This is about legacy. This is about brand positioning. This is about whether you build your own empire or spend your energy trying to outshine someone else's past. And one thing about history, it does not compete. It simply exists. If you rock with this kind of deep psychological breakdown, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video. Drop down in the comments and tell me what you see. Because over here on Shader, we do not just gossip. We analyze. We connect dots. We call patterns out. And remember this, you can chase attention or you can build legacy. But you cannot do both at the same.